everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm Jake, and with me as always, Steven, the Stream King, the guy with the new haircut. He's here. That guy.
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
Even though I told you 10 minutes ago, but
Hey, I'm here for you, boy. I'm gonna shout out your new haircut. Your hair look good. My hair is a little crazy, but that's okay. This is Chortle Cast, in case you didn't know, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. Today, we're actually going to talk about movies, movie trailers.
Good mixture today.
It's a healthy dose today. You also may be noticing that I, at least, am in a new area. I have a new mic, and I have headsets on, which I normally don't have on, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, I've mentioned before that I work for a production studio, and we have built a podcast set for some clients, which is great, because that means Chortle Games can now use this set. This is actually the set we'll be using for our charity stream coming up later in the year on November 3rd for Extra Life. Coming up on November 3rd. We'll talk more about that as it approaches. But anyway, fun, exciting developments. I'm going to hang some posters back here that I can take up and down and all that good stuff. So yeah, we're moving up in the world, moving back up in the world, because we originally, when we first started the podcast, there was a lot more to the setup, but now it's...
I am still in my apartment.
Steven's still in his apartment. I tried to get Steven up here permanently so that he could use this. This is set up to have another person with you, but not today.
I'm jealous.
Not yet, at least. So anyway,
one
day, maybe, if we get lucky. So anyway, but that's neither here nor there. We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to be talking about No Man's Sky, which got a huge update this week. We're going to be talking about some of the trailers that came out of Comic-Con. We're going to talk about some Destiny 2, and then we're going to have a nice little deep dive into the whole situation with James Gunn, because Steven has a lot he wants to get off his chest about this, and it's just a big story going on right now, so we want to talk about it and kind of say our piece about it. So anyway, it's going to be a great show. But first, let's do Catch Up, which is a little segment we do where we talk about the games we've been playing. Right now, Steven and I...
feel like it's been a while.
I know, it's been a while because we've mostly only been playing Destiny, like in our free time. But this week, we played a game that neither of us have ever played before, which was No Man's Sky.
We did.
So, Steven, what did you think of No Man's Sky?
Being somebody that had not played it before, I got it and I was like, okay, this is not as bad as everyone has made it seem.
Right.
Like, and I will say, people in the past have said the first hour or so is magical when you play the game, because it's like everything's in front of you and it's just all mysterious and it's like, oh man, there's so much game here. But there's not. and let me say, it's worth playing.
Right.
It is definitely worth playing if that's your thing. Immediately thing I noticed, my default comparison is No Man's Sky over here, Sea of Thieves over here. They are two sides of the same coin.
Right.
No Man's Sky is superior to Sea of Thieves.
I was just about to say, I want to make it clear that I would say No Man's Sky is better than Sea of Thieves.
Yes, and that was my comparison before playing No Man's Sky. After playing No Man's Sky, there's a lot of content. There's a lot to see. There's some quests. There's a lot of different ships, equipment, stuff you can get. But here's my thing. I've played No Man's Sky for about 9 hours now, total. And I have nothing to show for it. Because there's...
You have a lot of gold and silver that no one wants to buy.
I've got a lot of gold and silver that no one wants to buy. And it's like, hey, on Earth, this stuff is hot. You want to get this stuff. And then these little frog people are like, well, do you have any dirt? That's worth 1,000,000 units. What? Neither here nor there. Okay. So I played for about 9 hours. I've been trying to get another ship. I've been trying to kind of figure out what is here for me. In the 9 hours I've played, I've made maybe 1 million credits, but I've spent a lot of those credits to get some superficial upgrades, like slightly faster mining, a little more oxygen supply, stuff like that. And the cheapest ship I've seen is 2.8 credits, 2.8 million credits. So I would have to play for about 20 hours to get an upgrade on my ship. And all the upgrade seems to do is a few more technology slots and more cargo space. And so it's like, I realized, I mean, we played, was it last night that we played?
Yeah, last night we played a little bit, and I want to let Steven finish, but I have a very different opinion on this game, so I want him to get his word out. But yeah, last night we played a good bit, maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
I started about 7:30 is when I jumped on. You jumped in immediately, and then about 9 o'clock you wanted to switch to Destiny. So yeah, about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So
yeah. And I'm going to say my piece, just to say how this is going to go. You say your piece, and then we'll come to a conclusion, because I have some things that I'm sure I'm going to want to say as conclusion to what you say, too, because I do have good things to say about this game. But I noticed when we were playing last night, it was just like, man, why am I doing any of this?
Right.
Like, it was fun playing with you and Brody. Like flying around in space was cool and everything, but it was like,
where are we going? What are we doing?
Where are we going? What are we doing? It was the same thing every single planet. It was like, go to new planet, land,
try not to
mine
die
for stuff, try not to die, don't touch the eggs, and then wash, rinse, repeat.
Right.
And the space stuff is probably the most fun, interesting stuff. Like, flying in the ship is really cool. Going into FTL travel is really cool. I got some heat from Sentinel spacecraft, and I ended up in a 1v4 space battle, and I got them down to 1 and then died. That was cool.
Right.
I enjoyed the space battles, but it's like, what's the point? And I was sinking so much time, so much effort into stuff that barely seemed to matter, and it was like, do this thing, mine these things, sell these things to get something else that'll help you do these things, mine these things, sell these things, and it's like, where does the loop stop and become something else? And you said that this is probably one of those games, based on what you've read, that is a slow start game. I agree. I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's more to do, but I have put 9 hours into this game, and I feel like I still just started.
Yeah.
Nothing's hooked me, and that's the problem that I've got, is that if this game is going to assume that I'm going to want to play it, it needs to direct me more, tell me ways to make cheaper ships easy to get.
So, Steven, I want to stop you, and I want to start on what I want to say, because the first thing I think you should do is I think you should start over. Because you started the day before the update came out, and I think from what I've read and understand, a lot of things have changed, even in that hour time span between you playing before the update and after the update. I am surprised at how much I have enjoyed this game. I keep thinking about it, and I keep thinking about like all the things that you can eventually get to, and that I know you can get to, that I want to do and I want to see. Because right now I agree. A lot of our gameplay loop is go to a new planet, try not to die, don't touch the eggs, gather what we can, and then try to learn languages and stuff. But like, I think the whole idea that we've talked about of this is a slow build stands. And it's a very, very slow grind. But there's a lot that I think you can get to eventually, that I still think you're going to get there and say, why am I doing this? What is the point of all this? Right. But like, so I learned today there's a whole freighter system. And so you can eventually get a giant ship that can store all your other ships, and you can hire other spaceships to go on missions to collect units and supplies and stuff, and that runs in real time. So like, I could set that up in the morning, I could go to work, I could come back later that night and have all this stuff to, supplies and stuff to upgrade my freighter. Your freighter can store a whole crap ton of stuff, and there's different levels of freighters. But Stephen, I think what's happened with you, and what may be happening with a lot of people, is you really kind of need to play the course that the game has set before you. Like when I started, you wake up, you don't remember anything, and it's like, okay, first you need to collect some supplies to get your mining tool working. It shows you how to do that. And then it's like, okay, here's how you fix your visor. Here's your ship. Let's fix your ship. We fix your ship. There's a mysterious signal in space that you should go to. You go there. That teaches you how to base build. I imagine after I do that, I'm going to get another signal and eventually go and save a freighter. And this is actually how you get the freighter. You can buy freighters for upwards of millions of dollars, Stephen, or you can go save this one freighter and get it for free. And that's just a mission that's going to pop up. So I need to do. I wish I had more time to play it to do this. But I think if you can just kind of follow the missions it gives you, there are some really exciting things that you can eventually get to. But I think throughout all of it, it's going to be a slow grind. Strangely enough, even though this is a good example. So Sea of Thieves, we both I think can agree that it's a well-made game with no point is kind of I think what we would say, or at least how I would describe it. I think this in a very similar way, the loop is fun, but there's nothing I'm like other than trying to get a freighter, other than trying to get the best freighter, other than trying to learn all the languages of all the different aliens. I don't know what I'm working towards, and I feel like those should be things that I get along the way towards a major goal, which I know, the journey to the center of the universe is kind of supposed to be a major goal in this game. But from what I remember, it's not a very satisfying discovery once you get there. But anyway, I don't know. I have found it really enjoyable. It's almost relaxing when you're not being chased by aliens. It's almost relaxing because you can just kind of chill. You can kind of get in there. There's different difficulty levels. Like there's a survival mode that you can do, which I imagine has a lot more of those biological terrors and things. So maybe once you got to a point where you were stable, you could switch to that, and that might make it more engaging. I don't know. But even once you get to the freighter stuff, there's pirate battles that you're supposed to be able to engage in and all sorts of other stuff. So I feel like it's a very slow build, and that is a problem. But I do think if you're willing to put in the time and you just want to play a game where you just kind of relax and explore space, it is good. And like you said, with multiplayer, it's really, really fun. I mean, one of my favorite moments from our live stream was it was kind of the last planet we landed on. I was in one place doing something, you were in another place doing something, and Brody was somewhere else. And we were all just kind of collecting resources and doing our own thing, but we were communicating and hey, I found this over here. Hey, I found this over there. And even today, you and I just kind of went through a cave yesterday and did a round. And you showed me my first trading station that was on a planet. I had never seen one of those. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. But I think, like you say, Steven, it's not a story game where you're working towards something. It's very much, it's almost like Another World. Is that the name of the game? That was kind of like a life sim where people could
Second Life?
Second Life, that's it. I'd almost say it's a closer comparison to that, because it's very much just, here, be a space astronaut, go to these different places and do, build your own little space empire.
And I guess to wrap what I've said up, I will say I think that they have done something special here, where they have taken a game that everyone hated and they've turned it kind of into a success. Everyone's been joking that the user score on Steam went from very negative to mixed.
Yes.
And they've been celebrating. They've been mixed.
Yeah.
But
it's because it's because they the recent reviews used to say bad, and now they say positive. And then the overall reviews is mixed because it's just complete opposites on the spectrum. But
and I guess for me,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what a story though! Like to literally 2 years ago be the butt of every joke because of how just disappointing your game was, and to come out now and whether or not it's a good game that most people like, I think we can all agree that it's worlds better than what it was, and it's it is for some people I think going to be a fun game, and it is what they promised now, or at least it's a lot closer to what they promised.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the news. So, Comic-Con happened over the weekend. A lot of exciting movie and trailer news came out of that. So, there's a couple big ones that we want to hit and talk about. We're not going to do like a full deep dive into any, Easter eggs or anything like that, but I just kind of want to talk about them and kind of give our opinions on them. So, I'll start out Godzilla, the king of all monsters. Steven, did you get to watch that one?
I did not.
Okay. Well, I'll just speak briefly on it. Brody is really, really excited about it. If you've been following us on Twitter at Chortle Games, you will have seen his posts about how beautiful the visuals are and everything. I'm excited about Millie Bobby Brown. I'm excited to see Godzilla, and I'm excited for monster fights. And it looks like we're going to get a bunch.
It's is it King Ghidorah, I think, is the other monster? It's the three-headed dragon.
The three-headed dragon's in there. Mothra, is that its name?
Mothra.
Mothra's in there.
My old roommate was obsessed with Godzilla, so I know general lore things about Godzilla.
See, I don't know as much, but I liked the first Godzilla movie that they've done recently. I just wish there was more Godzilla in it. That is a concern of a lot of people who have seen this trailer, that there's not enough Godzilla in it, but they've assured us there's a lot more of him in the movie than in this trailer. So anyway, I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. It looks beautiful. Like there's this really cool shot of Mothra like spreading his wings, and Brody shared it on our Twitter, I believe. Her. I'm sorry. I think I said it's, so back off.
Hey, and my thoughts on this movie. It's just one step closer to Kong versus Godzilla.
That is true. That is another thing. Do you think Kong will make an appearance in this movie? Surprise appearance?
Probably post-credit stinger, some kind of
teaser
directing towards.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Because that's the next step, I believe.
Well, anyway, looks good. Excited for it. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 2: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I said that horribly wrong, but that is a really, really long title. And now that I'm sitting here reading it, that's a horrible name, a horrible style, horrible name. So I actually next movie. Moving on. Actually, I haven't seen the first Fantastic Beasts.
Really?
Yes, I am a big Harry Potter fan. I really enjoyed it. Just never made it to the theaters and haven't watched it on Netflix or anything since then. Can't get Lee Allison to jump in and want to do that. But one of my big things when I saw the trailers for Fantastic Beasts and all this, I was like, man, they should have done like something with Grindelwald. Like that should have been way more of a focus than whatever the heck this is, because that's kind of the other big mystery that happened in the world. And then of course they throw a plot twist. It is all about Grindelwald. So I know spoilers of the movie, so I know that the detective ends up being Grindelwald, and it's Johnny Depp, and I'm excited about all this. So the movie looks great. I'm excited to see how young Dumbledore is going to be represented. There's a cool moment where Dumbledore's looking into the mirror of Ezrid or something like that. I'm not sure how to. I'm horrible at pronouncing magical words. I could never really be a wizard. But we see him looking into the mirror, and he sees Grindelwald, which is kind of interesting because in the books, Harry looks and he sees his parents, because the mirror shows you what you most desire. So this is going to kind of lean into what J.K. Rowling told everyone after the books were all released, was that Dumbledore was actually gay, and that he kind of had a love infatuation with Grindelwald. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes in the story, and I imagine it's going to set up stuff in this movie for the third one to be really good. Anyway, I'm excited to see how this all goes. That one looks good. You haven't seen, you probably didn't watch that trailer it's not quite on your radar. All right.
No.
Shazam.
Yes.
DC.
I'm all about Shazam.
Just took like a 180, and this looks like a great movie. It's funny.
Like, the whole time, I watched it with Anna while we were cooking in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole time I was just thinking, man, Zachary Levi is gonna carry this movie so well.
Yep.
He's just like the part where he's like, "I'm bulletproof," and he just looks up and just goes, "You're dead." I love that. Oh man,
There's so many good lines from that trailer, and I am so excited for that movie. That's a great one.
Yes.
Right after that scene, when he walks out, he's like, "Sorry for breaking your window, but hey, at least you didn't get robbed." And then this girl walks
He's
past.
like, "You're welcome for not getting robbed."
Exactly, yeah. And then this girl walks past him, and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up? I'm a superhero." And so it's just like, I don't know. I love that he still feels like a kid, and I think that's something that even like DC animated is really good. Like they're doing great stuff with their animated stuff. But even in that, I always forget that Shazam is a little boy, And I didn't feel that way in this. It was very apparent that he is a little boy.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they do with this one. I think it could really be a good turning point for the DC universe.
At the very least, it's going to be fun.
At the very least, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really, really good. So excited about that one. And then Aquaman. Lee Allison's review is it has Jason Momoa in it, so it should automatically be great. I know Steven doesn't agree with that, but that's what her review was. My review is, damn, Mira has really, really bright red hair. It is so damn bright. I love it, but it is so bright.
Trailer. I just watched this trailer for the first time literally 15 minutes ago. And I just sat there thinking, these are some cool visuals. This looks like underwater Thor.
Right.
And then I was just thinking, I don't see Momoa's Aquaman as a good leading role. I just, and maybe it's, my nostalgia goggles based on the comics that I read and, the cartoon and everything. That's just not my Aquaman. And I have a hard time.
Hashtag not my Aquaman.
Hashtag not my Aquaman. I just have a hard time accepting him as Aquaman.
Right.
I don't know. The underwater visuals and everything look stunning. Like, that's going to be worth the ticket admission at least, is just the underwater battles, the water effects, all that kind of stuff. It just looks really cool. Yeah. But I don't know. I find myself not being able to care.
Looks cool, but we're nervous about it. Is what we're gonna leave that at. So
yes.
All right. And that's pretty much all that's the big trailers that came out that are really kind of on our radar or in our wheelhouse of what we would normally think or do or care about or talk about. But Steven, you found another bit of news that is kind of comic book related.
It is both of those.
Both of those things. What's the name of the movie that it was? It's XMEN.
Okay, so those of fans of comic book movies may have forgotten that there are two X-Men movies that are not related to Deadpool on the way, and they've been on the way for a while. It's New Mutants.
That was the horrible
X-Men Dark Phoenix.
horror one, right?
The horror one.
Yeah.
Yes. So new details have emerged about these movies, and it's being rumored that these movies have both been canceled, will be canceled tomorrow
due to the merger.
No, that's the funny part. Has nothing to do with the merger. The production, utter disaster. Based on these rumors, this is from Comic Book Movie. So New Mutants, we'll start there. The director has little to no interest in comic books.
Oh, gosh.
That's what's being reported.
Oh, gosh.
And he's just like, I don't want any of this comic book stuff. I just want to make a horror movie with superheroes in it. And the studio is like, no. Let's not do that. And he just basically has become director only in name. And he's wanting to do his thing. and the studio wants to do their thing, and it's being compared in early screenings. It's being compared to Fantastic Four in how bad it is.
Oh gosh, that's real bad.
Yeah, the only positive thing that has been said about it is the cast's performances, but other than that, it's just been
you've got
a dumpster fire.
Got shoot, I can't think of her name now. The girl who plays
Maisie
Arya,
Williams.
Macy Williams, and then you've got the dude from Stranger Things.
Sure.
I forget his name. Anyway, he's one of the older brothers, but
Yeah.
you got a stellar cast. So,
and there's reshoots that are currently underway, but it's getting to the point to where they are considering using the merger as a cover-up for just saying, yeah, Disney doesn't want to make these movies, when in fact they can't make. Okay, that's New Mutants,
right.
And we saw the trailer and we talked about it here, and it just looked bad.
Right.
But Dark Phoenix is also having terrible screen testings, and the cast, apparently their performances feel very phoned in, and just no one is happy with the outcome of either of these movies. We haven't seen anything for for Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
No trailer, nothing, and these movies have been delayed so much, and so it's apparently Fox shareholders are allegedly holding a vote tomorrow to potentially cancel both films.
Wow.
And honestly, they probably should.
Wow.
At this point, because Disney at this point, they're gonna step in and just be like, look, releasing less than stellar quality film is going to lessen the value of these characters and lessen the value of any plans we have in the future.
Right.
So you need to just cancel it.
This is an exciting. Obviously, it stinks that they put so much work into this and it's not turning out well, and that's disappointing.
Right.
Obviously, but we like we've already mentioned, we've seen some of these trailers and it doesn't look good. X-Men has kind of had a bad trek with it, or it's been getting less and less stellar coming from Fox with X-Men. There's all these convoluted timelines going on, which if done well is fine. But so this is an interesting thing that's happening, and it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Disney does from here with the franchise, because they could potentially really turn it around and do something great with it. But anyway, that's crazy. So I guess we'll hear more about that into the weekend and maybe into next week. So we might be talking about it on a stream, so catch us there. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about Destiny 2. So obviously we're very excited about the Forsaken DLC that is coming out in September. But some news has come out ahead of that, one of which is a really exciting trailer that shows off new weapons and exotic gear. So, Steven, why don't we talk about some of our favorites from that video? You can find this on Twitter. You can find it on YouTube. Most news sites are covering it, but they show a bunch of different, They showed a lot more than I thought they would in the realm of exotics. and so they talked about a lot. Like, they went through in detail a lot, but there's even other ones that are just shown in the trailer that we don't know what they are or what they do. Because towards the end, there's kind of a highlight reel, and there's a couple things you don't recognize from what they just showed you. So
there was that quad barrel rifle that they confirmed in Game Informer. It was one of them.
Yeah, that one looks really good.
Yeah.
So, So what were some of your favorites from out of there? You text us with a bunch of exciting takeaways.
So love that I'm seeing new weapons.
Right.
The bows look great, even though one of them there was a PvP one and a PvE one is kind of how I've gauged them. The PvE one makes it to where on precision kills it starts like an electric blast and stuns enemies and kills them nearby.
Can't wait.
Which looks awesome.
Can't wait to use that.
Yeah.
That's definitely one I'm going to be hunting for.
Yes, and the other one is a X-ray vision bow that pierces enemies, and that's like, okay, PvP. That'll be really useful in PvP, but which bows are going to change the meta in PvP so much. I'm really curious to see how that works.
Yeah.
But some of my favorites, Ace of Spades looks ballin'.
That Ace of Spades emote too looks really cool.
Yes, and Ace of Spades is Cade's gun.
Right.
And Uldren takes it from him and kills him with it. I am going to pry that gun out of Uldren's alive cold hands so that I can stick my foot on his throat and put the gun in his mouth and pull the trigger 4 times so I can get the increased damage that comes from kills after reloading, you know? That's the joke. No,
that's going to be a really
awesome.
awkward position. I just want you to think about what you're going to have to do there.
No, see, here's the thing. He's on steps. Like, he was trying to retreat, so he's like, his body is on an incline, so my leg is up and it's on his neck, and then I'm just like, you know, up here.
I still don't think that's going to be a very comfortable position.
It's going to work.
Okay, all right.
It's going to work. It has to work.
It has to work. Yeah,
but,
that's a good one.
There was that pistol that the 5 consecutive shots causes an explosion. That looked really cool.
Yeah, my problem with that one is I don't know that I'll be able to land 5 consecutive shots, but you know, still good stuff.
The one that interested me the most, oddly enough, was the Titan legs.
Right.
The reflective shield when you slide. I saw that and I was like, dang. Well, I think Brody would love that.
And what's interesting about that, or at least what I thought was interesting, so in the video, the Titan slides, you see his shield, and there's a rocket coming at him. The shield disappears and his slide stops right before the rocket hits him, but it's still deflected back. So I'm curious how long that effect is going to last. That might be a nitpicky thing. It might have even been a glitch that they just were like, edit it in so it goes back. Like, we don't have time to, I don't know.
And is it a one hit reversal too? Like, say, does it continue to reflect rapid fire as you're sliding, or does it just reflect the first bullet?
Right. Yeah.
That's the difference.
And what I thought, and 2, I want to know, does it reflect directly back, or if it hits at an angle, is it going to go off at an angle, or how that works? Because in the video, it hits him and goes right back to the dude that shot it.
I assume it's back to source, like back the same flight path is my assumption.
Yeah. Well, anyway, interesting stuff. And then one of my favorites out of this was a new exotic sword that shoots a projectile. So what it looks like is you can, of course, use it in combat like you normally would a sword, but then when you jump in the air, instead of like swiping towards something, you swipe and then an arc of energy comes from the sword. Yeah. I cannot wait to use that.
I think it's funny because that does look awesome, and I understand, and I'm hyped about it too. But it's like, you've said this whole time in that game, you're like, oh, there are swords in this game. Heck yes, I can use those so I don't have to shoot things. Mm-hmm. And here you are getting really excited about the sword that is used to shoot things.
It is ironic, but it's going to be useful, and that's why
it's understandable.
That's why I want to use it.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, so those were exciting. There was a double dodge hunter gear, which when you text us, I read that as double damage, and it took me a long time, and I had to watch the video like 3 times to realize it was double dodge, because I was like, how is this guy dodging twice? This is a damage thing. How does this work? And that's what it was. It's a double dodge. So that'll be exciting. Which
will be really useful.
Yeah. I run Arc Strider, so my melees would be coming back left and right. If used correctly, but
I didn't. Around the middle part is where I forgot most of them. Mm-hmm. Did we see a Warlock piece?
Yes. What it does, and it's actually pretty cool. It's a chest piece. It's got some nice feathers on it. It's something like the Koran.
Great.
Great feathers. Yeah. It's called like the something fire. It's like corroded fire or something. I don't know. Anyway, what it does is it gives kinetic weapons elemental explosions. So precision hits with a kinetic weapon will have some sort of elemental effect.
That's really cool.
I'm not sure, and now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm not sure if the energy effect is going to be whatever your whatever you're running, or if it's going to be whatever's in your energy slot, or if it's going to relate to the enemy. I can't remember. I think it was a void attack that went off with that precision kill, but I obviously I didn't know what the Warlock was. So anyway, yeah, that's a really cool piece. There's a rocket launcher that shoots 2 rockets, which is kind of cool. And I think that's all they really showed. There might be 1 or 2 other things in there.
The fire-breathing cold heart.
I knew there was one I wanted to talk about. So it's called like 2,000 songs or something like that, or 2,000 words. Anyway,
I'm looking at the trailer right now, letting it roll through. I'll mention as it goes. But keep talking.
It's a really cool looking ray gun that shoots fire, and from what I can see from the trailer, it leaves a trail of fire, and that fire explodes.
1,000 voices.
1,000 voices. I was close. See, songs, words.
Exploding beam of fire. Chromatic Fire is the name of that Warlock piece, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. So anyway, I'm really excited about the 2,000 voices because with that, you can basically draw a line and then it just explodes. So that's going to be a really, really good piece to have. Anyway, all really, really exciting stuff. But then also, that's not all. They have announced they've announced that they're going to do some other updates before Forsaken comes out. So on August 28th, they're going to be doing 6 updates as part of a pre-launch process. One of the main things they're going to be doing is they're going to be adding. We've talked a little bit about how weapon slots are going to change. And how basically some things that were only power weapons will now be able to be used in the energy and kinetic slot. And it's going to be, there's like all different ratings of how power is going to work now and everything. They're going to make those updates starting on July 28th, adding that in. It's
August 28th?
August 28th, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we've still got a little while for that to happen. But yeah, it's doing that. It's adding bulk shader deleting. It's adding 200 extra slots in your vault. They're giving the updated to weapons. The weekly mile system and daily challenges is going to be updated, as well as
heroic story missions.
The heroic story missions are coming. And then just some other tinier updates. But anyway, that's all going to be leading up to Forsaken on September 4th. On September 4th, all players will get an update that's going to be the Forsaken update, which is going to mix up and change a couple different things. But so it'll change up a few things, and then obviously those of us that have pre-ordered the system are gonna get that. So also, if you're pre-ordered Forsaken, you get a cool ornament for Ace of Spades, and you're supposed to get what's called Cade's Exotic Stash. And I don't know what's in that.
Yes.
But I'm excited about it.
Standoff emote, which, that must be the Ace of Spades thing.
Hell yeah.
The emote. I definitely want that. The armor shaders, and then the Queen of Hearts, which might be Cade's ship.
Probably.
Oh, man. I have to get that now.
Do you not already have it pre-ordered?
Not yet. Gotcha. I'm trying to space out my purchases.
I understand. Mine's pre-ordered, so I'm excited to get to use that. But anyway, all right. So let's move on. We're gonna kind of talk a little bit. We're running a little bit out of time, but talking about James Gunn, we want to talk about this whole situation. So if you're unfamiliar, if you've been hiding under a rock, basically, some tweets were dug up on James Gunn's Twitter that basically they were jokes about rape and some other just sensitive subjects that they go back like 10 years ago. And so
the most recent one that I saw was a 7-year-old tweet.
Right. So anyway, older tweets got pulled back up, and Disney fired him upon hearing about these. And it was announced pretty earlier this week. So since then, a lot of drama has been going on. Obviously, fans very upset, very disappointed. Actors in Guardians of the Galaxy have come out and kind of talked about their displeasure and their surprise and shock about this whole situation. But anyway, it's been a really interesting story to follow. But Steven, you have a lot more passion about this than I do. So why don't you talk a little? You know more about the story. So why don't you take it from there?
So it was a smear campaign being pushed. I don't remember who it was, but it was somebody who was kind of despicable in their own right.
Right. Yeah, there's been a lot of things that have come out about him since then.
Yes. And it was the most shocking thing about this is that it happened so quick. I read something about him apologizing for some tweets, and then that afternoon he was gone. Like, they just fired him. And what's so weird about this is how Disney made the controversy. Like, there's not really a question about that, because yes, there were the vocal few who were like, wow, James Gunn said these things, but he apologized in a very candid, realistic manner. Basically, his apology said something along the lines of, hey, when I was a creator trying to find my voice, I tried to make that voice as the, provocative, says things that no one else would say kind of comedian, and it wasn't me, and I found my voice elsewhere, and I am no longer and never will again be that guy. And it didn't matter. They just axed him. And what sucks about this so much, like, just why I'm so frustrated with it, not only is he just a really good creator in Marvel, but the fact is he was a guy who had not really found success. He's just this genuine nice guy who found his voice and basically got his dream job making these big movies for Marvel. And I'd watched some James Gunn stuff prior to Guardians, and it really is amazing how, like, Guardians showed his untapped potential. Like, it was like, holy crap, this is better than anyone expected. And so he had become, like, it was kind of his redemption arc. Disney had given him this chance, and it was a great underdog story. He made Guardians Galaxy 1 and 2. They were great. He wrote the dialogue for the Guardians in Infinity War, and I'm sure for the Infinity War Part 2. He had directed all of the Stan Lee cameos that they've got on retainer. Like, he was Marvel's guy. Like, he was their poster child, kind of. And it's so weird to me because, let me say, I'm not condoning the things he said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course not. But the fact of the matter is, it was a long time ago. It was satire. And he is clearly not the person he was back then. Grace is a real thing. We all deserve it. So you would think, Disney being the company they are, we talked about this a little. He got hired for Guardians of the Galaxy in probably 2012. I think. Disney had to have seen this stuff. Like, they don't have to background checks. Disney had to have known about this. And so what's so weird to me, it was swift before any wind got under it. They could have let it blow over, but they didn't. And it almost felt like they were looking for a reason. But everyone that's worked with the guy has nothing but good things to say about him. He gets results. He makes good movies that people want to see. So why him? Why this way? And that's the question that I don't really have an answer for, aside from there just being more to the story that we don't know. Why was he targeted? Aside from maybe his political views, but even then, it's like, Disney of all people to axe a guy because of how he feels about Donald Trump. That doesn't make sense.
A lot of interesting things have come out of this. A lot of interesting topics and thoughts. Obviously, like you've already said, those sort of things that he joked about are pretty atrocious to joke about, and that's rightfully so. But what's interesting to me is he's already apologized for those way back then, and again now in these situations. So one interesting thing, there's a couple interesting topics and thoughts that I think everyone can kind of take away from this, and one of those is, these were jokes that he made, and someone took out of context to be like, hey, this is what James Gunn thinks, about child rape or whatever. And so it's real easy to take anything that's said on Twitter out of context. And I think it's a scary world we live in general, where what you say on Twitter today could ruin a career for you 10 years down the line. And there's so much that changes. I mean, heck, I don't know that I'm the same person I was a year ago, let alone 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So another interesting topic, and Philip DeFranco brought this up on his show. He basically kind of posed this question of, at what point, we mentioned grace is a real thing. Like, at what point is there a threshold where, like, you look at something that somebody did and say, that sucks, and but we're glad he's apologized and he's not the same person anymore. Like, what's that threshold of where something should matter? And what Philip
that's so
ended
weird
up saying on his,
like,
he personally thought,
sense.
Words are probably less important than actions. So if you said something but you never did it, okay, maybe he's a different person now. And I kind of agree with that. I think what you say and what you do, there is a difference there. But anyway, I don't know. It's very interesting. I think there has to be something else that we, as fans and as the people outside of Disney and Marvel, don't know about. And I'm with you. I have no idea what that could be. From what we've seen from all his cast and everybody, they all love him. They all talk about how great he is. And Chris and who's the girl that plays
Zoe Saldana?
Yeah, their tweets about it were a lot more reserved, but even theirs were like, we can't tell you much about this, but we love our Guardians family, like, everyone in it, which includes James Gunn. So I don't know what it could have been that he stirred up, and this is the excuse to get him out.
So I look at this from a PR standpoint, and we had this conversation, and you cut out for a minute there earlier, and I think I was talking over you, and I was like, oh, wait, he's still talking. Camera's slow.
Sorry,
here we are.
We're dealing with a lot of new technical difficulties today, but anyway.
Yes. I look at this from a PR standpoint, and you, myself, Brody, and Miles all talked about this right as we heard that it happened. And I've been following it pretty closely. I've been keeping my ear to the ground on what people think on this. There's a petition out there that has, isn't it up to like over 375,000 signatures or something?
Their next goal is to get 500,000 signatures. And last I checked, it was at 300,000. So
yeah, I'm one of those signatures.
Right.
But that petition is to reinstate him. If you look at anywhere, articles online, Facebook, Twitter, mostly, it is in the vast majority of support for him. They've got people, actors, filmmakers, comedians who are rallying behind him, basically saying, that's not okay. Because now what Disney has done, what they may have intended, let's just assume that there was no ulterior motive here. Let's just assume that. Let's say Disney was doing this just to prevent a controversy from happening. Disney has created the controversy of branding themselves as a place that second chances doesn't happen. People are going to not want to work with them because of that. They've potentially lost filmmakers, actors working with them because they saw the way he was treated based on just crappy situation. And my question here is, like, if there's no ulterior motive, which I'm 80% sure something else is here we're not seeing, what did Disney stand to gain from this?
Right. Yeah, and it's, Steven and I both have a background in public relations. That's what we went to school for. This is an interesting case study, and would be if I was still in school to talk about and look into, because I think in a large way, I think you're right. They acted probably way fast.
It would have made more sense for them to come out with a public statement, basically saying we are aware of the tweets in James Gunn's past, but
and we're investigating.
we're investigating, but we believe, just basically saying in a sense of the person that we have a professional relationship and have for the past several years has exhibited none of those qualities. It is Disney's belief as a company that though his past words were unacceptable, that is not the man he is today. Something like that.
I think that would have been good if they had decided to keep him. But I think even a step ahead of that, I think, because like you said, you know, a lot of people saw his comment on Twitter, and then the very next thing, what made this a story was Disney's official, you know, they've come out and fired him. And that all happened within,
and they did
within
it
a
around
Span of
Comic-Con too.
Yeah, I know. Because he wasn't
weird.
at their Hall H panel, which is the huge panel. So I think they acted fast, but I to some degree I understand we're in a day and age where, you know, people aren't taking crap, you know, about, like, you do have to be so careful about what you say and what you do in the world we live in today. All that said, though, I agree. I think it was just too fast. Like, I think it would have been sufficient for their PR team to have said, you know, we're aware of some statements that have been said against James Gunn. We are doing an internal investigation to, you know, identify what's happened and get both sides of the story. And we'll have more to say on this later. And then see where the story goes, see what people think, do an internal investigation, find out, you know, how old were these tweets, how old was this? And the benefit of the doubt person inside me says maybe they did that in the span of a few hours, but I just don't know. Anyway, it's crazy. It's sad.
Yeah.
But like I said, it does bring up some really interesting things that takeaways for all of us. In that, you know, be careful what you say, man. What you put out there is out there, and it's, you know, it can come back to haunt you. But you know, it's crazy. It's wild. Well, hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a couple things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're on YouTube, you're already watching, or if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com, and you can leave a nice little comment on this video. Let us know what you think about all these topics. What are you excited about? Any of the movies we saw at Comic-Con? What did you think about No Man's Sky, Destiny 2, and then what's your opinion on the James Gunn situation? We want to know. We want to hear about it. You can do that on a comment, or you can tweet us at Chortle Games on Twitter or Facebook at Chortle Games. And then you can also jump in our Discord, which the link is on our banner page. It also should be in the description, but we're easy to find, and we have a good group in there that chats a good bit. So anyway, let us know and connect to us that way. You can also send us an email at chortlecast@gmail.com and send us topics, send us news that you'd like to hear us talk about, and we'll get to those if we can. So good discussion today. Good, a lot of good news this week. Really exciting. If in post this all turns out to sound really weird, I apologize. Like I said, me and Steven had about an hour of technical difficulties getting started. Then we've got a whole new system going on here. So hopefully by next week that'll be resolved, or maybe even in the coming weeks. So just bear with us. We appreciate your patience. We've got some great stuff coming out this week. We do content 6 days a week. So yeah, we've got a lot of great content coming up for you this week. Obviously, we stream on Fridays and Saturdays. We have 2 live streams on Friday and 2 live streams on Saturday. Tonight, you're going to see Brody and Steven maybe play No Man's Sky. They've also talked about doing the Boruto Naruto game.
Boruto Naruto Shinobi Striker.
That one. We'll probably see a little bit of that. Maybe a little bit of No Man's Sky. We'll just see how the night takes them. So anyway, look forward to that. Saturday, Steven and I are going to be together in one place. So we're probably going to do Enter the Gungeon, I think we've talked about. And then one other stream. We're not sure yet what we're going to do for that. So stay tuned. It'll be a surprise. And then Monday, we've got some more. We do a Let's Play every Monday. This Monday, it's going to be Serial Cleaner episode 2. So it's a lot of fun.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a good series. The mystery continues with the serial cleaning and who the cops are and how they're dirty and all that good stuff. And we're cleaning up after them and all that jazz. So that's a fun series that we're doing. Then Tuesdays, we have Team Up Tuesday. That's where we play a co-op game and live stream it. So we've been doing Destiny. We took a break last week for No Man's Sky. Some new things are gonna. There's a big. What is it called, Stephen? The
Heroes Solstice.
Heroes Solstice is going to start on the 31st. So we will be back doing Destiny for Team Up Tuesday. Probably again as we continue going towards Forsaken, playing Destiny 2. But anyway, stay tuned for that. Those are always a fun stream. Then Wednesday we've got this new Switch game called Sleep Tight, which the premise is like, what if Pixar's Monsters Inc. What if you could fight back from the monsters coming into your door? So it's like a tower defense kind of style game where you're fighting off monsters coming into your bedroom at night. So it's going to be really fun. It's probably just me, maybe Lee Allison. I haven't recorded it yet, so that's going to be coming out. So that'll be Wednesday. Then Thursday, Stephen does his solo stream. We've had so many technical issues all the way around the board. We've been trying to start State of Decay 2, which is what the next series we're doing is. Obviously, this past Thursday, we did not get to do that because we had some technical issues. However, I have ordered things to fix the problem. It will help us in the long run later. I'm just kind of biting a bullet for it. So hopefully next Thursday, we will finally start the State of Decay 2 stream.
We'll start it, and barring anything other than everyone hating it and asking, please, Stephen, let's not do any more State of Decay 2, that should be the next series.
Yeah, because you've now played it and you really enjoyed it and think it will be good.
I think it'll be a fun series.
Yeah. So anyway, that'll be next Thursday starting on that. And then, of course, next Friday we'll have another podcast, and we'll have 2 more live streams on Friday and 2 more live streams on Saturday. So, Stephen, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, listeners, for listening, and hope you enjoyed the topics that we talked about. The viewers for viewing, the listeners for listening, and all that good stuff. Again, we apologize for any technical issues that might have gone through on the back end. We appreciate your patience. We will see you next time.
Peace.